Ma'am, shall we begin the session, ma'am? Okay. Yes. Very good evening, one and all. And today we are going to have a second webinar session, that is 302nd webinar session on gifts of emotions. I would like to start with my understanding about emotions. When we talk about, when you ask anybody, can you name the emotions? Mostly we will come up with negative emotions. And we never start with the positive emotion. The same thing, I think many of you can ask yourself and ask somebody you know to you. That is the condition. And when we focus about the positive emotions and its impacts on positive emotions, really we were not aware about it. And today we are going to have an input regarding that from a renowned professor and well-wisher and our core team member, Dr. Subashree Vanamali ma'am. She is currently teaching at Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, and she's having her own webinar counseling center, Vatsalya Wellness Center. And in addition to that, I think you can see that wherever you can find that brochures related to Yellow Bond Counseling Center and Red Bond Education Psychology Research Center, and she's an co-patron, I can say, for this association. I welcome ma'am today's webinar session on behalf of the Department of Psychology, American College, on behalf of the Principal and Secretary of the American College, Madurai, and our associating institutions like Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, International Center for Clinical Psychology and Psychotherapy, Germany, Chalam Institute of Mental Health, Madurai, Red Bond Education Psychology Research Center, Madurai, and Psycho-Oncological Association, Turkey. I welcome from our bottom of heart for today's webinar session. I welcome all the participants also for your support. We are sustaining our webinar series, and I hope I request each one of you, please recommend your friends to join the program and get the benefit out of it. Now, I request Jodi Armum sir. I think he's here, and Jayan sir, you can introduce the speaker because it is a surprise to you. I will make you an presenter. Because we were all here as a participant for long, most of the program you are here. I request you please add your inputs and your opinion about the resource person. Jodi Armum sir, over to you. And next, Dr. Jayan sir.
Very good evening, all of you. I'm pleasantly surprised to give me this opportunity, and thank you for this opportunity given to me. Welcome, one and all. I'm very pleased to introduce a known personality here, just to have an opportunity. Madam, actually, I'm really, really excited. I'm not able to catch the words. From MSW, Madam is heading a department, and she is one of the core team members who I think started first session, and then she has been continuously, having this drive. Whenever there is a, stop gap, whenever there's nobody, either Suresh or pops in or Madam pops in here. And with my experience with her is like her sessions used to be like, a discourse. I used to call it as a discourse only. It's not the flow of PPT or anything. It's like though PPTs are displayed, the voice, the driving force, the words, it's all like a mesmerizing kind of a thing. So she is a very highly spiritual person by nature, connecting to the natures and whatnot, everything around as a whole environmental humanistic approach. So I welcome you, ma'am. Thank you for this opportunity. I have a lot of things to speak, but I'm really not, getting words. Really, I'm surprised. Thank you. All the very best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And now I request Jayan sir, your part now. Then okay, ma'am.
Good evening. Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Again, happy to see in this. Anyway, I am joined as a participant and share my views and knowledge through this great platform 4 times. And I'm very, after the COVID, I am planning to visit personally. Ma'am, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Suresh, shall I begin?
Yes, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. And we are eagerly waiting here to listen from you. And
Thank you.
before, ma'am, one word I would like to make here, the audience over here. And I think we have done earlier also. The continuation of sessions are very not possible, but very person who is committed and consistency, passion in the field can do that. I think season one I found in my personal life. Thank you, ma'am, being with me and sharing your experience today. Welcome, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. It's an overwhelming, experience for me from my side also. Thank you so much. We are going to talk about emotions. You all have made, surprises, and Suresh is actually famous for surprises, and he gives a lot of surprise gifts, and he has given a lot of surprises for us in the core team. Now he has given to all also. And thank you and participants who have been joining with us right from the April 14th. It's not an easy job for all of you to be with us throughout, because we have some kind of an mission and vision inside us, and we are taking. We just started, and we are now. It's the rolling on. The momentum is on. Whereas for all of you to learn and consistently invest time, your efforts, and it is really priceless. I really appreciate all of you, and we are also grateful to all of you. Thank you. With this note, I would like to start the session on this gift of emotions. I'm not going to share any PPT. It is going to be a kind of an open talk for all of you. Because most of the time we all have been bombarded with the kind of the stimulus of PPT and other aspects. So I would like to make you all feel a little bit and also travel with me in the feeling of what is emotions. Okay, so this is going to be a little experiential kind of a learning, so be prepared for it, and I welcome all of you to join with me whenever there is a kind of an exercise. I hope you all join with me because it is going to be helpful for you. So with this note, I really thank Suresh also starting with an exercise of kind of a surprise. Surprise is one of the very important emotion all of us know that, isn't it? So it was a surprise even for me. So I really I was wondering that all the time we psychologists and also the people around, especially from the Eastern perspective, if you talk that much of the emotions which we have been talking is mostly been faded, and we never actually go through the entire process. We actually experience it very subtle and also express it very subtle. This is the way we have been brought up, and this is the way we have been conditioned to respond also. So if you really see all the textbook what we are reading in the emotions and all about emotions, it will majorly talk about three components. One is about the three parts of emotions are the subjective component, that is how you experience that particular emotions in your right now, and then the physiological components about it. That means the bodily reaction to that particular emotions, how we are going through that. Last one is about the expressive component. That is how you really behave in that, with response to that particular emotions. This is what you majorly actually do it. But all the time people talk about I am a little emotional, I am a little sensitive, something, I am a very temperamental person. All that they talk is all the time is that emotions are something very wrong. Emotions are something is being portrayed very negatively. Is that that's the reason I have kept the title Gifts of Emotions. You just imagine if you are not being with an emotions at all, how would you really function? Just imagine yourself that you don't have an emotion at all. You will be a very, you cannot even imagine yourself to being a human being, isn't it? So it is a very important aspect in one of our life is about it. It gives you a motivation to live. It is a drive for all of us, and it gives you a kind of a survival, thirst for you. The survive is if there is a danger, it gives you a threat. If it is something is happening and I need to go ahead, it's a striving force for all of us to also to function. So the emotions are something like a gift for all of us. So you make a decision, there is an emotion behind it. If you really wanted to understand others, there is an emotion behind it. If you really want to be understood by others, there is an emotion behind it. So this is something which we all have to really understand. The emotions per se is not negative. Emotions are having a very great, reason, meaning, and responsibility for all of us to carry. But we should know how to regulate it, how to we have to really aware of it, how we can actually be relate to that, how we can actually manage. Now, even I never say any of the emotions are positive and negative in the kind of an categorization, because anything in a given moment, if it is authentic, if it is very very genuine, that emotion has to be valued. We just think of an happiness all the time. We all have been pricing of happiness, which is you think of an sadness also. If you have a loved one and the loss of loved one, if you feel sad, it is something, the emotions you carry for that person, the value you carry for that person, the kind of an empathy you carry, the compassion you carry towards the person, isn't it? So it's not all the time it is wrong. You have to really understand how I am regulating, how I am managing, how I am actually experiencing, how I am also expressing that. So per se, emotions are not at all and something which is you need to be looked on. You have to be really feel happy because it's a driving force for you. It is keeping you going. It is making you feel happy. It is also one important component in your life that you are behaving the way you are only because of the emotions. You know that neurologically our brain, the emotional part of the brain is bigger than the other, the frontal and aspects of the higher order cognitive functions. That's the reason the emotional brains, when you are emotionally loaded, don't make any decisions. People say if you are highly happy or you are highly kind of an also sad, you don't make decisions. Don't take any decisions while you are emotionally loaded. That's the reason, because your cognitive brains are not very active. Emotional brain takes a huge space in your, the entire skull inside. So you have to be really aware of all this before you are getting into what is emotions, why I should be aware of it, what is that it is going to do. I'm going to talk much in the perspective of how it is emotion could be and kind of a symbol for all of us to thrive and also survive and also works as a danger mechanism. Most of the time we all use it in fright and flight, the kind of theory we talks about that, fright and flight. But this is something which you all have to really understand, that if you cannot take up that particular emotion for a quite long time, either you take a flight mode or a fight mode. That is something which is very very necessary for our survival. Something is connected with our going on. Something is connected with my drive to live for the next moment, isn't it? So that is the first and foremost important aspect we need to really consider while we are thinking about the emotion. Whatever the emotions, let it be. And the other important aspect is about the emotions are that the well-renowned researchers have found out that the purpose is to understand the emotion is not just enough. You have to really know what is the emotional regulation techniques, how I can do that. So especially from the from the childhood, if the children have been taught that how to monitor themselves, how to self-monitor themselves, how to regulate their emotions, it is something very, very beautiful exercises. You can actually tell them how to monitor and how to do that. Because most of the most of the parents are not being encouraging, why you don't even address the child. If the child cries, you don't even address the child's on the emotions background of it. You just ask, why are you crying? That is a reaction for something inside what is going on inside the child, isn't it? The crying or something happens means it is a kind of a behavioral expression of that particular emotion. We just focus on that rather than the other things. We immediately respond to that rather than naming it, understanding it, regulating it. So that is the component we all need to really look in. So I'm going to talk much on from the gift of emotions right from the beginning of your child. If you are a person, a parent who is rearing child, how you can actually involve the child to understand what is emotions and how you can connect to the emotions. Now you can actually be emotive. Still, we very safe rather than vulnerable, because most of the time, if you are sad for persistently, if you are becoming a person with you seems to be vulnerable. People say that, no, you are not at all. with the same kind of an aspect, how I can be very safe, that is what I'm going to talk about. So how can I actually understand my emotions are the first and foremost important aspect in every spectrum of discussion. And if you really think of the foremost things in Tamil, whatever you ask for, if there is somebody comes in front of you, what is that is going on? They don't name it. Most of the client who comes and talks to us will say, கஷ்டமா இருக்குங்க, மனசெல்லாம் ஒரே பாரமா இருக்குங்க, மனசு கஷ்டமா இருக்குங்க. This is what generally they talk. I don't know whether you have experienced that terms. எனக்கு கஷ்டமா இருக்குங்க, it's a common terminology, everybody uses it. It is very difficult to actually categorize it, name it, and also understand it. So people must be aware of what is that they are doing. So this is something important task we have to really make the children to be aware of. The children must be aware of right from the childhood. What is being overwhelmed, what is being anxious, what is angry actually, what is that is angry, what is creating anger in you, and how it is actually being identified as angry. So are you angry or you sad or things, all distinguishing all these are very important. I am feeling good, people will say. What is that is good all about? So you need to really understand whether the good is yellow or red, as Suresh was telling, yellow pond and red pond. See whether it is good or no, it is yellow or red. What is that is good about? You need to be understanding how these emotions have been processed inside also. So this is something which you need to really teach the children. Visual self-monitoring technique, how you can make them to understand. The children can actually get trained for this. What is my emotional state right now? How I am differing from the other person in that? Is that I am emotionally like this, means what is that I am supposed to do right now? Am I doing it the right way I am doing, or I am taking the defense? What is that I am doing? For example, if the person is sad, he must be judicially given and kind of a rightness to express it, isn't it? If the person is hiding it with a smile, that means they are suppressing their emotions. It is not something very, very good, isn't it? So this person is very mature. No, she is not right. So the person is not able to emote is something, is a very great thing. Gap. We have not taught the child when they have been very been expressing. We would have curtailed, or we would have said that don't cry in front of others, don't cry like kind of failure, don't cry like a girl, all that we say, no. So because of that, there's a more condition to that, they don't express those feelings also. So when they don't identify what is lacking in them, how will they go for coping strategies? When they identify only, they can actually think of what is that I need to correct in it, isn't it? So that particular space we don't give it to them. So we need to really give them how we can understand first and then regulate our emotions, and these regulation can help them to monitor their emotions and how they can actually use these emotions in a very positive way. So that is a very important aspect. So identification, there are important aspects to be looked into. Number one is the identification. Identification is something, if I have an emotion which is an overwhelming or an anxiety or an anger, or let it be happy, let it be something else also. You would have seen some children, they cannot even express their happiness. You would have seen that children who are not able to even what is that is they are undergoing, they may not be able to address it also. So identification of that appropriate emotions are the first and foremost. Is it problematic? The child has to understand. And is it problematic for the other person? For example, when the emotion becomes problematic, if there is no coping strategies have been found, is that the feeling or being very, and also the expressions are inappropriate, then only it is becoming an problematic emotions. Unless it is something very natural. For example, I have been to one of the death, and the death of the person is something very close to the girl. That is the father of that girl, and the girl has not even dropped one drop of tear. What it indicates to you? Most of them are telling that it is really, she is well managing her emotions, she's mature, she's stubborn, she's a very strong person, all that. Something, she's stuck and the denial is so strong, and even now she's not able to recover from it. So these emotions need to be processed. These emotions require a kind of an vent. These emotions required such a kind of an opening for them to express it, isn't it? So making a mask over it or hiding behind those kind of an pretending kind of an smile is not going to help them at all. So running behind something is not necessary. Instead of expressing at the right moment with an appropriateness need to be taught to them. This is what I really feel, that is something, a gift of an emotion, isn't it? So if you are you are finding it very guilty, that gives an opportunity for you to correct your mistakes, isn't it? Sometimes you feel guilty, you feel sorry, and you also approach the person and seek apology, isn't it? Sometimes you feel guilty, you make sure that you don't repeat that. If you feel guilty, it is not something wrong. If you feel guilty and you don't express and take an action against that, then it is wrong, isn't it? So we need to be, the children need to be associated with all these kind of an emotions, and they need to be aware of all these, what is going on around. They should not be feeling, see, something is called, we all call about the intensity and the wheel of emotions. You would have studied what is the intensity level of emotions. If somebody feels sad, somebody feels disturbed, somebody feels grieving, and somebody is feeling depressed, there is a difference. Am I right? But what is that the person is going through? Only you are the third person from outside noticing, but that person has to be understood and clearly, open it up. For that, you require to give them a kind of an appropriate, picture of what is that to identify, what is that is you are going through, what is that subjective experience you are right now is having. Right from the childhood, you have to really bring in. All of the sudden, at the age of 40, you cannot train the person to you emote in this way. Okay, so you require a kind of a mechanism for them right from the childhood. If you're a parent, please be aware of it, how you can actually move them, how you can give them a kind of an identification clues. What is that you are going through right now? For that, you need to be a very empathetical listener. You need to be an empathetical parent to connect with them first. Number one. Even you are a teacher who is in a very empathetical can definitely connect to that. Could you please explain what is that you are going through? How it is really connected to? What is that is bothering you? How this bothering is creating a kind of an experience in you? All these makes them to understand what is that they are doing. If they are an elementary school kids, they will not be able to understand, but you can symbolically or non-verbally, you can orient them how they can express that. Can you just tell me with an emoji, what is that? No emotional meters, we can connect them. So when you are teaching them, something called a color wheel, emotional color wheel. This is one training I have attended, and they have given this kind of a tools for us to find out the color wheel. The color wheel is kind of a traffic light, okay? So if you are, you are kind of making them to be aware, as soon as you get an emotions, you get a signal for it. So you have to be really stop. Then if you stop this, then is something we caution before that the orange, and then the stop is red color, and then you are ready, steady for that in the orange, and then go for the green. So this is something, a very simple technique you can teach your children. When they are experiencing a moderate level of emotions, the child should actually employ such a kind of self-coping before they are getting into temper tantrums or taking an extreme kind of behavior and unpleasant behavior, inappropriate emotional responses. Instead of that, how can we regulate that? That is a more important aspect to really look into. When experiencing such a kind of severe level of emotions, that the person who's connecting with the person has to really understand what is that is really making them to break so much. Is it because of this is only because of this particular situation, or this person is always like this? Is that the person has shown different experiences, different expressions in various point of time? Are there? So such a little bit of understanding about that person is required. And then moving on to that, the next one is about the monitoring. The monitoring is if the child is using any kind of an unique kind of an emotion as a tool for you. For example, they blackmail you with an emotion. For example, they will cry in front of you. If they cry, you give them anything they want. If they do any temper tantrum, you give them. So that's a kind of a negotiation they do a bargaining kind of. They do this emotional bargaining. You need to be aware of it. What is that they're doing? For which they are doing? What is the secondary gain for them? If I don't understand, how will I regulate their emotions? This, if you don't take care at the initial level, and then that becomes a major impact when they grow up and their personalities are getting hampered because of this. So if you are able to understand this at the earlier, stage of their life, you can be able to help them in connecting their emotions, and as well as helping them to coping very well. So this regulations, I'm going to give you some kind of tips for you how you can actually bring in the kind of fading kind of what kind of a mechanism you can really bring in. So for example, if I wanted to choose to be like this, what I need to do? So the emotions in children, first to be identification. As I said, the children may experience difficult in naming their feelings. It is very common. So the selection of some kind of tools for them is required. To give them some synonyms for them, to give them some meaning related to that, or make a sentence out of it and tell them how it could be expressed like that. So, for example, overwhelmed, it can be confused, it can be frustrated, it can be sad, but it can be too much or kind of. Too much is a very simple word, no? So that kind of an aspect could be given to them to really compare their state and give them kind of meaning. And then other one is about anxious. If you are anxious, what is that you can say? I can say that I'm really uncomfortable. Some kind of an worry is there, and I'm really concerned about something is going to happen or something. I'm bothered. I'm uneasy. I'm feeling little nervous, feeling fearful, butterflies in the stomach. All these you can explain them. So this is something which they can actually relate to easily. If they ask them with the physical symptoms, they will be able to relate it very easily. So naming becomes an easy job for them. And then, for example, angry. If somebody is angry, mad, or boiling, kind of really become very mad. I have a boiling tendency. I am it's kind of a burning. I'm fired up. I'm frustrated. I'm furious. I'm really hot. I'm really, ferocious. All these terms will make them understand. Annoyed. All this makes them to understand the anger also. These are the synonyms, and also make use of sentences to illustrate them. What is that is all about this? Is that if there is something is being experienced by the child, labeling the emotions from their level can be helpful from your side. So once it has been labeled, they have identified what is it. If they have identified, is that they have any current resources, any resources to cope with that? Is that they can work on it? Is that they can actually help themselves to cope with some of the strategies? You can ask them. So one strategy I find it very interesting when I was browsing through. One is called turtling technique for children. Turtling, you would have seen that turtle's behavior. When if the turtle have been bothered or touched or something, it immediately shrunk its head inside the shell, and it goes inside. Usually we say that you shouldn't shrunk yourself, but this is something foreign coping mechanism they are doing. If they shrunk themselves, your first step is knowing your feeling and think of stop button. I said no stop button, and you tuck inside your shell and you are thinking about it, what to calm yourself, and then you are thinking about the solution and relating it. So it becomes a kind of a process for them. This turtling technique helps them to remember it. You shouldn't be reacting. You should take a step forward and you should respond to that. You shouldn't be avoiding it. You shouldn't be escaping from it. But you are taking a little while and you are mindfully planning some steps inside and coming out of it. So this turtling tech is something very, very interesting I have found, especially with the children, because if they have been very impulsive, if they have been very impulsively correcting, it is very, very difficult for us to manage also. But this turtling technique, you give them an experience, you can take them tell how the turtle works and how it is taking care of the it's from enemies. What is that it does when somebody bothers it? All that you explain them, and also tell them how you can connect it also. So this turtling technique, we use it for the children for regulating their emotions, who have been very impulsive, very temper tantrum, who are not able to control their anger, who are not able to actually monitor and also regulate their the emotions which is bothering them. These are the aspects which we need to really teach them. If you really teach them right from the childhood, then they will understand that reacting is something which is very, very spontaneous, which doesn't have a control over our thought process because our emotional brain is loaded much. In time, it slows down and our cognitive brain is taking in charge. Then we may able to come out with a decision, when we able to respond to the situation. And I can have a choice of response also. So that they have to tell by stating the coping strategies. This we can do it by practical tips of making them understand how it works also. And the other one is about the technique is self-talk. You all know the self-talk is one of the technique. We use it for elders also. Even for the children, we can use self-talk. I can do this. I can handle. Oh my God, I shouldn't be crying. They will be telling to themselves. Instead of that, what they need to tell, what they need to do, that can be given. So I should be handling this very well. I shouldn't be too much into this. I shouldn't be too much reactive to this. I shouldn't be maladaptive to this situation. The maladaptive terms we psychologists use. The children may not use, but they can use the term called I shouldn't be too much, and it shouldn't be too much for me to handle such a kind of. Instead of that, what kind of self-talk would be helpful for them? It should be a positive one. For example, I can handle this. I can work on this. I can positively respond to this person. Without hurting, I can tell this what is that is going on right now with me. So all these self-talk really helps them. So this what happens, the regulating, first turtling and then regulating and then responding. The self-talk while inside you are tucked in, no, then you can give this, I can do this, I can handle this without damaging anything. I can talk and I can deliver what I really think about it. For example, you really wanted to propose a girl. You are a very promising young man. You really wanted to propose a girl. You really love her. You carry an emotion, romantic love for her. How will you really process these self-talk? You just remember, you would have seen in the mirror and you would say that, I really wanted to connect to you. I would like to. You will entirely actually, formulate the dialogues you wanted to deliver, isn't it? Such a kind of thing is possible. Then you can really do this kind of exercise for any kind of an emotional state. This is something the self-talk helps us to, not to react also. It is also helping and guiding us to how differently I can deal with this, how how I can productively or constructively use these emotions for my betterment. If I'm sad, instead of ruminating and worrying and all that, how these could be used as a resource for me. How this can be captured, taking the response. If you have been ruminating all the time, you're not taking up the responsibility of the life. And if you are aware of it, if you turtle it and then you do a self-talk, you become responsible rather than escaping from that particular. So that is something possible for all of us, and release the emotions safely. This is a very important technique we need to say. We safely releasing the emotions, which we need to really train the children, because most of the time they are very impulsive, they are very innocent, they just keep doing what they want. But at the time when they grow up, if they have been without analyzing all this, if you start doing, they may actually get a lot of issues with the relationship, issues with their personality grooming and other aspects. So coping strategy one is very important, is about slow down and release these emotions very safely. And these techniques include breathing, sketching, all kind of an exercise. Also, you can teach them this releasing. For example, I have used one of the workshop. If I blow a balloon and the balloon is fully blown, and if you just leave it, it goes swing somewhere and releases the air and it lies somewhere in the corner, isn't it? If the balloon is blown and you are releasing it slowly by holding the neck one by one, I know bit a bit, and you can see that you have a over the release of air, and that doesn't actually, that balloon doesn't escape from you, it hangs in your, no, it is very much in your hand. Most of the time these kind of experience we have in our life, that when we release all that, we are thrown somewhere, isn't it? Sometimes the emotions which we don't have a control over it, and that is really making us feel very guilty, very shameful. We're not able to, why did I do that? I would have not reacted like that. What has happened to me? All that. So I'm going to ask you some important questions to you. So when you have been in an emotional state, that you can actually think of a positive emotional state where you have been recently, 1 week, you felt in a positive emotional state. Can you just imagine that situation by closing your eyes and also thinking of your reactions, experiences, and as well as what is that you have been into that? Can you just think about all these aspects? Imagine that entire scenario right now. Just close your eyes and imagine the situation where you really felt something, the name it as a positive emotions, can be happiness, surprise, or anything. What is that you have identified as? Can anyone unmute yourself and talk about that experience, please? Can anyone unmute yourself and talk about that? Hello?
This is Chandra here.
Yes, Chandra, please.
When I closed my eyes, Kavin, you can't do that, please. When I was closing my eyes, I was thinking about happiness, ma'am. It was one moment that I was awarded a rank in the university. So what I felt was like I couldn't be that happy now when compared to the moment I enjoyed some years ago. So what I felt was happiness is not the same when you think about successful things or nice moments. So it keeps changing and the level is not the same. So, I think it is the time that I take to cherish the happiness is not the same. It's changing. So this is what is my feeling right now about an incident that was happy to me in the past, which is not as happy as now.
Okay, fantastic. That was a very great insight, Chandra. So can you just think about, Chandra, one of the incident which was really painful and also you felt very sad or something? Can you just think of that also?
Ma'am, I don't have to really think about it because the painful moments always exist. I can just right away bring in front of my eyes and feel more and more painful than it used to be. Because, it has not been cleared yet. So the pain still exists and it keeps aggravating. So what I try myself is to say stop when that comes to my mind and just deviate my thoughts into another thing. So this is how I keep escaping that feeling. Okay. Otherwise, I would say that painful feeling, I can build a castle of memories on that, I would say. So if I don't want to stay in that mode, I just have my own technique of coming out of it and do something really nice or see something nice
Okay.
But when compared to the happiness, it is just one flash memory, but this is like one huge hill of memories I can build on.
Okay.
So this is my
Great insight you
experience.
have shared. It's a great insight you have shared. So our human tendency is being started looking for a lot of negative emotions. We ruminate, we we magnify it, and we also look it in detail, and we also see the clarity and it is related issues and also the consequences, and make sure that it has been fully webbed into our mind. Whereas because we would have done umpteen number of time, we would have re-experienced that particular, the negative emotions. Whereas with the respect to the positive emotions, when we have been enjoying, when we have been cherishing, and that particular moment we live and we just leave it. We don't actually have the kind of an again and again thinking of what has happened very, really happy. So this is a very important aspect we need to really teach the children right from the beginning. So making them actually make a thought diary or a diary of, even a gratitude summary we are saying, so ask them to write a gratitude summary. What are the areas which of the moments you find it very pleasant, very happy, very nice, and what is that? What made you? How you felt? What was the expressions of yours? Making it in detail is very important. Making them to write, record, identify, cherish is very important. And the same time, asking them to read it, asking them to share it to other person. All these small exercises you can do. And if you have been at home, every weekend, or you can plan for at least 2 days and month. You can plan and family together time and cherishing that time within all these happy moments across whatever you have experienced so far. That particular month, you can exchange it to others. You made me very happy on that day. I was really feeling happy because of you shared me that day you encouraged me, that made me happy. That day I did something that made me happy. Not only activities, it's also about the relationship which is connecting to each other. So this gratitude, and also not just if you have been ruminating with the negative thoughts, there is a possibility for ruminating with positive thoughts also, isn't it? That is something we have done with our optimistic workshop right now. That is all about tuning your brain for the same kind of a mechanism for positive aspects also. Thinking about the positive possibilities, thinking about what could be that, at the end of this conversation, what would you really wanted to, see like that. So if you really see that, you really wanted to think of the future perspective. If you really think of the future perspective, you would immediately think of something happy ending. So any of the movie, if you sit, you have ever wanted to end with a sad ending? Tell me, any one of you is that you have envisaged, you really love to watch a sad end in the movie? Any would have done that? Can you just express in the chat box? You are watching a movie and it's a beautiful movie and it is really, very, very, painful kind of, and you are watching at the end, you really wanted to have a sad end. Have you ever thought like that? No, everybody want a happy ending, isn't it? So in that case, the happiness could be implanted, it could be nurtured, it could be cultivated if you start counting on the positive aspects of it. So what the children have been taught, you have been taught, right? Looking at that, no, something is missing in this. As soon as you take a cup of coffee, what is that you are saying is the sugar is missing. As soon as you wear the chapel and go outside, oh, the entire steps are very dirty, it's so muddy. And you have been going to the office, while going in the traffic, you just see the entire traffic and making and here and there, and you are waiting and then say that it is rubbish. And it is every time we are made to wait. And when talking, and you never ever watch the beautiful scenery around you, you miss out the beautiful beauty of the color combination of the clouds. You miss out the beauty of the tree shade on you while you are waiting in the traffic. you are missing out the beautiful small children smile near your vehicle. There are so many things you will miss out, but you will be thinking always about the time and rushing up and also what is missing. So you have been filled up with all these things. You miss out the clues for the positive emotions. And we also ruminate with the negative emotions. We don't actually regard or nurture, also look back the positive emotions as we do it with the negative incidents. Isn't it? So this is something which you can actually work on. I feel so happy means you should also make that happiness sustained, isn't it? That could be only in you. For example, people who get married, first 1 month, second month, third month, fourth month, you can see that there are a lot of happiness. They will be carrying and they will be sharing. After 1 year, you can see there is a slowdown. There is some kind of a monotony fixed into that. There is a kind of an the kind of an happiness which you had it in the initial honeymoon period is missing. It is not about the physical. It is all about your mental tuning, because we don't kind of cherish what is that is good in us. We can't find out the faults often. Brain looks into the minor details of what is missing out rather than what is there. That is something is our, we really wanted to see the closure. That is just all principle. We really wanted to see the quick picture of it. We really wanted to have a happy, ending, all that. But we tend to forget what is actually happiness brings for us. We never knew that investment, we don't do that. So children need to be taught for them to record what is making them feel happy, invest time on looking for details of what is happiness, what is giving them a kind of a learning experience, cherishing curiosity. All these so-called, called positive emotions and positive psychology, all that need to be really given them an orientation that how we can look into, identify it, name it, and also cherish it, nurture it, all that. So unless you have been concentrating much on these negative aspects, it is not going to help them to develop these positive things. So these positive emotions, all of the sudden you cannot be having it, naming it as positive emotions. You must know that why it is positive. These positive emotions can really bring in positivity only if you really understand the meaning of it. Only if you connect it with that, isn't it? For example, you may think of these positive emotions. If I am always being connected to happiness, you cannot be always being connected to happiness. You cannot be always be connected to curiosity or enthusiasm. You cannot be always, because our mechanism is like that. We have to go up and down in our wheel of emotions, which we need to really understand. So the children need to be oriented that there is no always a rose bed. There will be thorns also. But looking at the rose, when there is a rose is being given, Kabil, the famous poet song, talks about that. If you really look into the rose, if you say that the red rose is not my preference, I like yellow rose. I like, that the rose has a lot of thorns. That means you're looking for the details of what is actually missing. The presence is not seen in you. So that the presence you have to really look forward. So this is actually possible in the emotions also. What is present, even in this amidst of all the difficulties, even while you are in a grief period, even you are in a period of where you have a lot of toughness or challenges are there will be something present. That presence need to be kindled. You can ask them, so is that the exceptional questions you can ask them? So all the time, is that these were the bothering for you? No, sometimes that was not bothering me. Sometimes could you please tell me what was the scenario? What is that made you feel like so? Then even with that particular no, they were able to be very happy in that particular situation. What made them to be like that? That you can explore and also look into the detail. If something is working out, do that more. Because if that particular aspect is giving you happiness, then do it more. Repeat it. Do it more. For example, when you walk, when you do yoga, when you talk to your friends, when you have when you go for your gym, when you listen to music, it gives you a soothing during that period. That period of emotion is something is really putting off, that is fine. But getting rid of is not an issue. The one aspect you need to recognize and also take the right kind of a strategy for that. The right kind of a strategy which gives you an happiness even amidst of all that particular aspect, particular negative period. Amidst of all that, I could able to be ease, and because of my children, ease because of my engagement at work, ease because of my my garden work, ease because of listening to music, ease because of some responsibility. Then you say, do it more. That makes you feel no, there is a lesser. Then you can have a self-talk to yourself. So then in that case, even my metabolism, my body, my self really wanted to feel pleasant, wanted to be happy. So don't ruminate your negative thoughts again and again. Instead of that, replace with the positive thoughts. Amidst of all, I'm able to work on this. I couldn't be productive. It is okay. But have you not done anything for the past these many months because of that incident? No, I have done this, this, this. So not discounting those things, recognizing that is very important. So this is something we need to really teach the children. The children will say that I have done the homework, I have finished, but I did mistake. I didn't no scratching. My hand is paining. All that they will say. But give the reinforcement for what is that they have presented that. Very good, you have completed. You had a hand pain, and also you had a lot of mistake. In spite of that, you were able to finish it. Fantastic. So such a kind of a positive outlook, give them a kind of a compliment for what they have done instead of what they are missing it. Okay, so you would have been giving instruction at home. Don't do this. Don't climb on the chair. Don't do like that. Don't scribble on the wall. Don't do like this. Instead of that, if you give them a crayon, can you just paint on the wall? Can you just draw on the wall? Can you just draw on the notebook? Can you just draw on this for the public cause, to do a postcard and we can circulate? Kind of, if you tell them, instead of pointing out what is wrong, if you give them a direction of what is right, then they look it up and they also change themselves. So this regulation, not only just emotions, it is also regulating their expression towards the emotions. This is something which you need to really monitor as a parent. You can actually create such a kind of an activities within home every now and then. Make them to know your feeling, think, stop, tuck like an turtle inside, come out when you are calm and think a solution and talk it up, express it and release it very safely. These are the steps you can teach them very well. And if you are anxious, how you look like, if you are feeling angry, how you look like, all that you can tell. And also while you are saying them, it is not turtle, it's to save, it is to struck yourself and escaping and not to actually, empower yourself. This is to, at that particular moment, how I am guarding my emotions and not letting myself vulnerable is the matter over there. So you have to really teach them. And then also, how can I make it as a self-talk, solution for self-talk? So use the self-talk. If they say that I cannot do this, this is too much to handle for me, I hate this, tell them how can you handle better, what is the situation you have handled so far better, I can deal this, I can actually go and take deep breath, I can go and ask my father and mother support, I'll do one step at a time, I'll go one by one. All that if you teach them, this is positive self-talk takes place. So practicing this self-talk is give yourself and also openly train them. So you tell what is that you are telling yourself, what is there is going in your head. Can you just tell me right now what is that is going in your head? Can you just elaborate that? Can we talk like this? Can we say, would you please tell along with me like that? Train the children to use the positive self-talk. I don't know what to do if they say, what is that you are? If they find it unhelpful, I don't know what to do. I cannot handle this. Even everyone is going to laugh at me if they say, then take a deep breath and relax. Now tell me, instead of unhelpful thoughts to some other thoughts to make you calm. And what could be that? I can deal with this. It will take little time, but I can do that. If I plan, I can do that. I take one step at a time. I won't actually think of others' stuff. Instead of that, you can see that if I finish first step, I will be very happy. So if you really replace those words in a very appropriate manner, then they will understand the energy and the kind of an positivity, how the self talk helps for them. For example, the child has been told it is not at all fair, no fair, and it is I have been cheated. I never get them what I want, kind of an expectation. No? I don't want it. They are very angry. Instead of that, oh, I will be happy if I get this also. I can deal with this if you really help me out of this. I am really getting angry, because of this. Instead of throwing something, damaging something, even if they utter the word I'm angry because of this, that is better. Instead of damaging themselves or the material or their people around. So such a kind of an expressions need to be taught to them. So releasing the emotions, not to hurt things, not to hurt others, not to hurt themselves, and also not using the mean words, and how you can release those emotions very safely. So when you have been, teach them how the balloon could be blown and how it can release slowly rather than just, leave it. Balloon runs here and there and goes into the corner. I told you an example, show them this exercise and make them, if you do and such a kind of an act, and if you don't release your emotions, safely, you land like this, you damage yourself. Rather, how can you, actually land safely by releasing your emotions step by step? How you can actually differently, make the other person understand what is that you are going through. How you will say that non-verbally or verbally, how you can actually say to the person without using mean words. How you can easily, say that I'm actually feeling hurt. You would have really felt hurt, but your reaction to that is so much of anger. Instead of that, if you address your hurt into the, you can say that I'm really felt hurt. That makes the other person to realize, and even somebody may actually ask, apology. Instead of that, if you really throw words and abuse the other person, they're not going to really understand why you are so much abusive and angry with them. So these are the small tips you can teach your children. And even for some of the elders, it is needed. Release of emotion safely is something needed for, first of all, for the elders. Parents must be aware of, teachers must be aware of, then only children will follow it, isn't it? We need to be a role model for them. So breathing, little taking a 3 count of breathing and slowly watching your breathing, and then just settling you down and sitting down. If you are standing and you are in a moment of throwing something, instead of that, breathing and relaxing, and then you are talking to that person. So these are the technique helps them to remove all the difference to express them. Ask them to record the thought record, and as well as very important is how the happy moment, what are the happy moment they have felt, they have experienced so far. Is that these happy moments, whether they are cherishing these happy moment, they have been recording it and talking about that and being grateful for that and expressing to the opposite person how they are, how the person has made them happy. All that need to be told them. So if you start using these kind of small techniques and strategies, emotional regulation could be very, very safe and also doesn't damage. They groom with a very high matured person. They're also able to manage themselves, not only their own emotions, they will understand others' emotion very easily. They will be empathetical and very compassionate when somebody is emoting also. They will connect it very fast and help the other person to emote properly also. So with this note, I'm concluding the session. The emotions are for all of us to thrive and also motivate to drive for attaining our whatever we really wanted to achieve in life. Only thing is we need to really focus, identify, understand, and regulate and release our emotions safely. Expression is also very important. So training your child, or if you're a parent or a teacher, even you're an adult, training yourself is required for all of us to do such a task. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. And I'm happy and overwhelmed to join again with all of you in the mental health webinar after a long time. Thank you.
And I think that feedbacks are floating in that chat box, positive feedback. Again, the gift. Thank you so much for us giving today through your presentation, and how we can understand emotion, how we can cultivate emotions in ourselves and in others, as a family members, as a teacher. And your words are really amazing, ma'am. I request Dr. Chandra to propose the vote of thanks for today's session. Over to you, Dr. Chandra.
Yeah, you're finished. Thank you so much, Suresh, for this nice opportunity. I'm always humbled and honored to talk words about Shubha ma'am. I'm immensely happy about today's session. Thank you, Subha ma'am, for your thought-provoking session as always.
Dr. Chandra, your audio is on mute.
So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Today's was a thought-provoking session as always from Shubha ma'am. 3 important learnings I have got in this session. I hope also the participants would agree to it. The first thing is, unlike including happiness, any emotion can be created, recreated, lived, or relived. The choice is ours to make the best out of it. And also, it is important to be true to the feeling, express it rightly, whatever we feel, not to dump inside and feel bad about the situation or whatever in experiencing the things. And it was really a nice session to think about all the emotions in one go. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for all your insights and perspectives on emotions. Really, we would treat every emotion as a gift from now on. Thank you. A big thank you from all of us. We also thank the participants for making this session a great one by interacting and contributing your thoughts also. I thank one and all in this evening on behalf of all the organizers and also on behalf of the core team of the webinar series 2020. Thank you so much for being here. See you all tomorrow at another session. Same time. Bye-bye.